thanks for coming tonight. I know it's going to holiday tomorrow, so we'll make it as painless as possible. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Invocation will be given by Council Member Chip Wilson and a pledge of allegiance by Rick Dees.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this great opportunity to lead this great community. Please help us in our guiding decisions that we make. Watch over our military service members throughout the world. And I thank you very much. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Insuaco.
Here.
Vice Mayor Eck.
Here.
Councilmember Barker.
Here.
Councilmember Dietz.
Here.
Councilmember Surtee.
Here.
Councilmember Sievers.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
All members present. You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Before we do that, Mr. Stern?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, for the consent agenda, items 5, 6, and 7 should be removed because last night they did not take place on the discussion work session, and so I believe the chief would like to bring them back at a different date. So it should just be the first 4 that the council votes on.
Do I have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor. I move that consent agenda be accepted as presented, and that the award of bid for Public Works 2007-07 paving materials be awarded to Mason Materials Company $59.69 per ton for 9.5 mm, 5.6% AC super pave, 58.07 per ton for 12.5 mm. 5.1% AC super paid, 56.99 per ton for 19 mm, 4.8% AC super paid, 56.99 per ton for 19 mm, 5.0% AC evac for 74.28 per ton for cold mix, and $85 per hour standby time for delivery trucks at job site after 20 minutes, and that approval be given for to extend contract number Public Works 2006-03 fuel with Supreme Oil Company for fiscal year 2007-2008, ending on June 30th, 2008, for $2.4131 dollars per gallon for diesel fuel and $2.5593 per gallon for unleaded fuel, with the option to renew the contract for 2 additional one-year periods if mutually agreed, and that the receipt of the annual report of the Apache Junction Public Library Board of Trustees for 2006-2007 fiscal year be acknowledged.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Dietz.
Yes.
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck.
Yes.
Councilmember Sievers.
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson.
Yes.
Mayor Insuaco.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
There is no awards or presentations.
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
Where?
Lost judgment.
Item number 8.
Where was that? Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
This is a little different.
Yeah, this is a little different. Yeah, this new process I got to get used to. Presentation of check by the Lost Dutchman Marathon Committee to the Parks and Recreation Scholarship Fund. And I walked right by the thing.
Thank you, Your Honor, and members of the council. My name is Grady McCann, and I'm here representing the Lost Dutchman Marathon Organizing Committee. I'd like to thank the city, first of all, for your continued support of the Lost Dutchman Marathon. In February was our 6th running and most successful running. I have a plaque that I'd like to present to you, first of all. It says 6th Annual Run for the Gold Lost Dutchman Marathon, City of Apache Junction, in appreciation of your significant support of the 6th Annual Lost Dutchman Marathon and related events, Sunday, February 18th, 2007, Apache Junction, Arizona. I'd also just like to remind everyone that since the beginning, the city has supported us, done a fantastic job, and we've also supported the city. And I'd like to present a check to you for that. And first of all, I'd like to recognize a few people that are very helpful and supportive, namely Jeff Bell, Parks and Rec Director, Liz Longenbach, Jay Reynolds, Joe Ornelas, Jamie Sullivan, Chris Curtis, and Telene Carpenter from Kathy Connolly's office. And Your Honor, if I could ask you to join me down here, I'd like to present you with a check.
Don't put that into the bank.
This is the largest check we've ever presented to the Parks and Rec Youth Scholarship Fund.
What's the amount?
I can't see it.
Can't see it.
No.
Turn around.
We'll
show
turn
us.
it around.
Wow.
I gave him one too.
Before we go to call to the public, Mr. Stern?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You probably noticed the agenda was a little shorter this time. I don't know.
We thought it was in preparations for the 4th.
Oh,
I didn't-
well,
I didn't really notice, but go ahead.
okay. Well, the public body may discuss, consider, and decide a matter not on the agenda when an actual emergency exists, allowing the public body to dispense with the advance notice and agenda requirements. That's under Arizona Revised Statute, Section 38-431.02, subsection D, pursuant to ARS Section 38-431.02, subsection J. The agenda can be amended, as in this case, by reading this statement in public and setting forth the reasons for the amendment. The call to public was taken off the agenda. This was a computer error with the city's new Novus agenda system. It eliminated this item. Not having this item on the agenda would frustrate the democratic process of the hearing directly from the public. And actually, that's the next item. The city believes this is a serious consequence of an unforeseen clerical circumstance. This statement shall appear in the minutes of the meeting to satisfy all legal requirements. So you can now go ahead with call to the public, and then before the next item, or you announce the next item, and then I will have to read the similar statement.
Okay, thank you, sir.
City manager?
This is the time that's set aside for each of our meetings addressed to call to the council. If you wish to speak, you must fill out a request to speak form. You may fill one out now and hand it to the city clerk. When called upon to speak, please come forward to the microphone podium. State your name and address for the record. If a group is speaking on the same subject, please choose a spokesperson. The council welcomes all your comments. Arizona open meeting law allows individuals to address the council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the council. Council may not answer your questions or discuss your comments at this time. However, at conclusion of the call to the public, council may do one of the following: respond to criticism made by an individual, address the council, ask staff to review the matter, ask staff to place the matter on a future agenda. Council shall not discuss or take legal actions on matters raised at call to the public unless matters have been properly noticed in discussion and legal action. Due to the time restraint of the meeting, there is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. And the first one I have is Noel Benoit.
Noel Benoit, 900 North San Marcos, Lot 35, Apache Junction, and request a little extra time if needed because I wanted to report to everyone, basically, the citizen's viewpoint of a very successful working retreat. And the same way this new publication shows some of the superstition amenities, etc. It's a very nicely done booklet. And I put it up there because it's kind of like all things become newer, a new direction. And I'd like everyone to know that I was extremely pleased with what I saw and heard at the retreat. Definitely a working retreat. Everybody was still working when they were eating breakfast or eating lunch, etc. And we have really great open communication going with the Business and Property Owners Network, the American Association of Mobile Homeowners, and various horse groups, etc. And I think everybody is really on the same page as far as preserving our urban lifestyle and taking Apache Junction in the right direction. We can really become and be the jewel of Arizona. We have everything here needed for it. I think we have a mayor and council here now that can do it. We have a city staff that's dedicated to that. And there was another thing mentioned there, which is, of course, that all of us from the past, sometimes it's kind of like Pavlov's dog. You rang the bell and fed the dog, rang the bell, fed the dog, rang the bell, fed the dog, rang the bell, didn't feed the dog, but the dog salivated. Sometimes we can tend to react by things from the past, and all of us need to kind of slow down, take time for that open communication, and be sure not to react according to the way things have been in the past, because I wanted to assure everyone from what I saw and heard at the retreat and from what I've had with communications with everybody here and with the groups I belong to, it's truly a new day in Apache Junction, and I think we're really headed in the right direction with a group that'll take us there. And we, of course, talked to about all of the council members have various specialties that they're extremely good at, and each person taking their specialty, developing it with maybe the help of another council member or whatever, would get a lot more done with a lot less effort, and then bring that back for presentation. So I just wanted everyone to know we really need to go that extra mile to give what's needed for our future success. And I'm really pleased to see everything going on. Thank you.
Anthony,
3 minutes.
Anthony Vaquero? Boy, I butchered that, I'll bet you.
Good evening to the City Council. I just wanted to come before you and tell you why we...
Did your name and address, sir, please?
I'm sorry. Anthony Brancaccio, 1917 South Palo Verde Drive, Apache Junction. We lead an evangelism team in the city of Apache Junction, and we thank certain members, Mr. Stern, that have helped us in foregoing and speaking to different people within the public. We go out and we share the word of God because that's what God has charged us to do. I just want to read a brief statement. The city of Apache Junction has grown rapidly in the 7 years I've lived here. I have personally worked alongside the professionals from the fire department and police department. And I believe that the city council is charged with the task of guiding the city in the direction of continued positive growth. We believe that the best partnership for the city of Apache Junction would be one between God and the citizens of the city. As the city continues to grow, and with the quality of the city services that have been provided to the citizens of Apache Junction, also with the partnership of God being in people's lives, we feel that the outcome will be definitely a positive one. We've been charged with this task from our Father, go out and share his word and teach them to obey all that he has commanded. It would be good for Satan that the city of Apache Junction dwell in crime and poverty, and Jesus Christ says that he has a different plan. He warned us that the thief, who is Satan, does not come except to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And Jesus says, but I have come that they may have life and they may have it more abundantly. He wants Apache Junction to dwell in poverty. He wants Apache Junction to dwell in crime. And we feel that there is definitely an answer for that, and we know that the answer is God. God has a wish for all his people. In 2 Peter 3:9, that none shall perish, but for all to come to repentance. He wishes this because of his love for his creation that he speaks of in these two verses. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send the Son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. In the last meeting, city council meeting, the former mayor, Douglas Coleman, stood up and he said that he was praying for the new incoming city council members, and I think he was right on. We need God in our lives. We need God to help us direct where we're going, and that there is room in God's kingdom for anyone that wishes to come. There's one last thing I want to share, is that an invitation was made to all in the book of the Romans, chapter 10, verse 9, that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. This invitation is open to all the people. I thank you for your hospitality and allow us to continue to present things to the city council. We also thank you for the continued cooperation between the law enforcement, Parks and Recreation, city attorney's office, and us, and we thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Marcus Madling. Marcus Madling.
My name is Marcus Mattingly. I live at 1833 East Ebony Place in Chandler, Arizona, 8524 or 85286 now. I wanted to talk about science and the Bible and suggest that we might put the Bible back in schools because regardless to what many evolutionists would say, the Bible and science go hand in hand. I wanted to point out a couple scientific facts. For one, there was a project done, it was a secular project called the Human Genome Project that mapped the human genome back to one man and one woman, and that's what the Bible said all along, and science is just figuring that out now. Another thing is, the Bible says there was a worldwide flood. What we find is billions of dead things buried in rock layers, laid down by water all over the earth. And 75% of Earth's rock layers around the world is sedimentary rock, which is consistent with the worldwide flood. Because sedimentary rock is formed by water, weathering, and mud, which is consistent with the Bible. So I think that we need to put the Bible back into the school system. There are many other things. You can go to answersingenesis.org to learn more about them. They just built a creation museum in Kentucky. That would be another good thing to put in Arizona that would not just be God-glorifying, but increase revenue big time. There's other pieces of evidence. There's, for example, the Bible talks about during the 6 days of creation, God creating all the kinds of animals. Some people would say, well, didn't dinosaurs live millions of years ago? Well, we have found, or evolutionary scientists have found, you can read this on like msnbc.com and stuff like that. They've actually found T-Rex with red blood cells and soft tissue in it, and they've also found duck-billed dinosaurs that were unfossilized in northern Alaska, which is how that lasts millions of years. I don't know. I don't think it did. But why does all this matter? The point of me bringing all this up is that if the Bible can be trusted in the scientific realm, then it can be trusted in the spiritual realm. And the Bible tells us that in Hebrews 9:27 that like Tony was talking about, it's appointed unto man once to die, and after that the judgment. We're all going to die. That's our biggest problem. We're all like being slowly pushed towards death as time goes by because of the fall of man and the garden. So I would just like everybody to consider that. We don't know how much time we're going to have left. Just research and find out what's going to happen to you. We're all going to die someday. So please research it. See if you are, if there is a heaven, good enough to get in. And the Bible makes it clear that there is none righteous. So you need a Savior. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jeremy Bolin.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jeremy Bowling. I'm at 205 North 74th Street in Mesa. I am part of the Calvary Chapel evangelism team, and I would just like to let you all know that when we interact with your city, we have nothing but high marks. We've interacted with Tempe and Mesa, and Mr. Stern has helped us initially from the last City Council meeting I shared with you. It is really something to take pride in. We are treated, like I said, professionally very courteous. And just one of the things that I'd just like to share with you real quick that comes up when we're out there is a question, and I just thought this would be a great opportunity to bring it up and share it, is baptism required for salvation. And you may be saying, what is this guy doing? I don't know. Sometimes neither do I. But I'd just like to share a Bible verse with you, and it's Acts 13:39. And it's through him, Christ, everybody who believes is justified from everything that you could not be justified from the law of Moses. And really the bottom line is that for us to come into a right relationship with God, we have to repent of our sins and put our trust into Christ and just confess that with our mouth. It really goes into man's nature to try to make hocus pocus into religion and make it out a lot more complicated than it is. And I would just like to, once again, to thank you for the outstanding courteous treatment we received at Parks and Recs and the places that we go, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. That's the end of the call to the public. Before we go on, Mr. Stern?
Actually, the next item, isn't it usually announcements of the current events?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was... No. The current events, that's what you got?
Yes.
Yeah, that's out of the, you noticed it's gone. Well.
No, I just asked him about
City
if he
manager.
was going to ask the
Not
city
yet.
manager if he had a report.
No,
Okay.
hang on, he's...
No.
It's going to be the same statement because under Arizona law, I need to read this to make this legal. Public body may discuss, consider, and decide a matter not on the agenda when an actual emergency exists, allowing the public body to dispense with the advance notice and agenda requirements. ARS Section 38-431.02D. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.02J, the agenda can be amended, as in this case, by reading this statement in public and setting forth the reasons for the amendment. This was a computer error with the city's new Novus agenda system. It eliminated this item. Not having this item on the agenda would frustrate the democratic process of not allowing the public to be informed about current events, upcoming events under announcement of current events item. The city believes this is a serious consequence of an unforeseen clerical circumstance. This statement shall appear in the minutes of the meeting to satisfy all legal requirements. You may now proceed with the item that is not listed on the agenda.
Does anyone have any announcements or current events or something they'd like to bring forth? If not, I do remember 4th of July tomorrow. Nice fireworks at the high school. Hopefully there'll be no fireworks after the fireworks.
Oh, there's fireworks before and
Yeah,
those
before
are
and
the
after.
best.
The best in the East Valley.
Fourth best in the state.
Okay, we'll go on to the public hearings.
Now we could do the city manager.
Oh, city manager, I'm sorry. Why do I want to forget you, George?
Well,
Well, that's what Rick kept
I
saying.
kept trying to get, you said before called the public.
Well, no, call it,
No, look at top of that page.
And that's just public hearing.
That's public hearings. Where are you at?
where are you at?
Public hearing. No, mine says public hearing. Okay.
Never mind.
The city manager has two items.
Good, sir.
First,
I had to take care of Mr. Dietz.
Take
You
care
had
of
to
it.
knock some sense into it.
I apologize for the staff error. We're looking across the organization to make our employees more effective through technology. In this particular instance, it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We had a glitch. If you don't specifically enter the item, it doesn't appear. None of the department directors entered call to the public as an agenda item, so it didn't appear. We goofed. We have a remedy for that, and we believe that it won't happen again. If it does, Mr. Powell will be giving the manager's address to you next time on this topic. So I apologize for that.
In the skirt.
The second thing I'd like to share with you is a brief note that Councilmember Wilson passed along to me, and I'm honored to share it with you.
This July 4th marks the 231st anniversary of the day that 56 patriots signed America's birth certificate, the Declaration of Independence. None knew whether this singular, defiant act would create an independent nation, but all held firm in their resolve to, quote, mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, end quote, in support of the ideals of liberty and equality. 5 years later, with the defeat of George Cornwallis at the Battle of Yorktown, the dream that eventually became the United States of America was realized. Today, the U.S. is a land that continues to attract people from all over the world, drawn by the promise of opportunity and freedom. It's a place where pioneers could pursue their dreams and help change the world in which we live in. In celebrating America's Independence Day, we should remember that we are the beneficiaries of the dreams of these leaders. On this holiday, we should remember the opportunities these 56 brave men and many more patriots like them have given us. Let us remember all those who are currently serving our country all over the world and those that have given their all to protect our freedoms and heritage. We, the City Council members and its staff, want you, our citizens of Apache Junction, to have a good, safe, and enjoyable 4th of July. Thank you, Councilmember Wilson. That concludes my report, Your Honor.
Thank you. On the public hearings, application for permit extension of premises for the liquor license for Captain's Foods and Spirits.
Yes, Your Honor. As has been happening quite frequently, because of the change in state law regarding no smoking areas, Captain's is coming to you with a request for a permanent extension of premises to make the same type of accommodation. You have reports in your packet from internal staff as well as the fire district. I do call your attention to the letter from the fire district. They raised 2 points. I would suggest that you discuss those with the applicant. And what she did provide you this evening is an updated diagram. It looks like this. Okay. So, you know, you may wish to ask those questions of the applicant. She is here in the event you have any questions.
Mayor, Councilman, my name is Mark Ledoux. This is my wife, Mary. We live at 1040 East Estevan, and we own Captain's Food and Spirits. We need this to keep our, this day and age, we need this to keep our business going. As we've seen a dramatic drop in our sales ever since the new law went into effect, and we're hoping this will change all that. So if there's any questions I can answer.
Yeah. Councilman Barker?
According to the fire district here, one of the questions that they have, or one of the statements they have, is that applicant needs to provide greater detail concerning the height and type of enclosure being proposed. I see the dimensions of the patio on this new drawing, but I don't see the height and type of enclosure that you're proposing for your patio.
Actually, I've covered that with Mr. Klinger, and he's put in a stamp of approval, and I've talked to the chief today. He was also submitting a letter to Fred there, and all those questions have been answered.
Could you tell me what it is?
It's going to be 8 feet tall.
And what are you going to use for the enclosure?
The roof is going to be made out of aluminum. It's going to be anchored quite sufficiently by a local contractor here, and it'll be surrounded by a fence, lattice, and sunscreen.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah, it's going to not only, it's going to be effective, but it's going to look nice too.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I had the same question. I'm good.
Yeah. I've noticed something that's happening here with the smoking patios is they're building an exterior patio, and it has to be fenced so that no alcohol transports outside of that patio. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the fence or the wall only has to be 42 inches high for the liquor board. And we had a situation with one of our other restaurants in town where they had wrought iron fencing 6 feet high with a roof above it, which created a fire exit situation. Did they say anything about your fire exits that they had a problem with?
Yeah, we talked about that too today. We're going to have a 6-foot fence. And we're going to have, so we're going to have about 4 feet of space there. We'll have fire extinguishers in there, which I discussed with the chief, and we'll have an exit there with a panic bar on it. So it's going to, it's not necessary for us to do according to the chief, but we're going to be doing it anyway.
I was just wondering why you wanted to go so high with it.
It's going to meet the eaves at the top of the roof of the building.
Okay.
And that's about the only place we can hook it up.
Okay.
Now, just curiosity, what direction does the back of this face? Is that, I'm trying to
The
visualize.
back faces to the west.
So that sunscreen really needs to be up higher rather than the little 42-inch one, because you're
Right.
going to have sun come streaming in there in the summertime. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be pretty comfortable with that.
Hope so.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
You're like many applicants in the past 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. Well, we've seen almost a 50% drop in sales in the first 3 weeks.
You should have done this 2 months ago.
The state will figure it out.
We had issues with the new owner, which I'm sure you've probably heard of.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Good luck. I hope business picks back up for you.
Is there anyone from this public hearing, is anyone from the public like to speak on this item? If not, I'll close this hearing. Is there any discussion?
On it. That's for free.
Vice Mayor?
I move that the application for a permanent extension of premises on the liquor license of Captain's Food and Spirits submitted by Mark Warren LeDuc and be recommended for approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call?
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Mayor Insulaco?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Proposed ordinance number 1299, PZ-8-07, rezoning approximately 3.5 acres of property located at 2040 South Goldfield Road from GR General Rural to R1-43 PD, single-family residence by planned development, with minimum lot sizes of 1.04 acres, gross allowance of property owner to split the land into 3 lots. Mike?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Tonight I'm presenting this case for James and Shirley Rollins. They have 3.5 acres, which is zone GR, which is 1.25 acres minimum lot size. They would like to split it into 3 lots and keep one for themselves, sell off the other 2. Under the current code, they would have to have 1/4 acre more than they have. So they're coming to you to ask for a rezoning. Right now, their property is in two lots, allowing 2 either mobile homes or site-built homes. Here's the zoning excerpt. As you can see, there's general rural to the north and to the west of the property, CR4 PD to the south, which allows, in this case, a church and church-related uses. And there's R143 across Goldfield Road, and that is state land. This is an aerial photo showing you where the church is, and state land, and some vacant parcels. Currently, there is a mobile home and a pool on the property. If the lots are split, the owner realizes he'll have to move the mobile home and probably fill in the pool. This current drawing from what the property is like. This was the original proposal from the property owner. He asked to have access for all 3 lots off of Goldfield Road. As we looked into it a little bit more, we realized that there are easements on the north and south lots that make it a bit tight to put a house in. The yellow here are, well, this is a roadway and utility easement. To the south here, this is only utility easement. And the orange area is the required setback for each lot, and the white area is the buildable area where the house can actually go.
The north one's paved?
No, it's not.
Is that a midway point?
No,
Could that
it's,
easement be abandoned?
this right here is 20th Avenue
20th
alignment.
Avenue's not paved.
It's not paved, it's not even graded at this point.
Doesn't go anywhere.
Just an easement.
Yes, it's only an easement right now. The only paved road here is Goldfield. This is something that staff came up with while working with the property owner. And the idea here is to have access for all 3 lots off of 20th Avenue. According to our engineering guidelines, if it is a dedicated city roadway, the minimum requirement would be to grade it. He wouldn't have to do any paving unless that was conditioned by you. Also, all 3 lots would have access off 20th Avenue, which would make it reduce the traffic hazard of having 3 driveways on Goldfield Road, which is a section line road. Also, one of the concerns of the property owner was that all 3 lots have a clear view of the mountain. So we wrote in that each lot would have a different front setback. So the lot to the west has a 30-foot setback, the middle lot has a 45-foot setback, and the lot to the east has a 60-foot setback. Conditions of approval. All lots, the minimum lot size shall be reduced to 1.04 acres gross. The lots be reconfigured to create 3 new lots in accordance with the option B, which is the last one I showed you. Access for all 3 lots shall be provided along 20th Avenue, and the south half street shall be dedicated to the city. The existing mobile home may remain for a period of 24 months or until the property owner is able to replace it with a site-built home. Originally, they proposed to allow mobile homes on all 3 properties, all 3 pieces. The property owner would like to remove his mobile home in the next couple of years and build a site-built home. And if he's doing it, he would like his neighbors to be doing it too. So we're proposing to do R143 that would not allow mobile homes. Minimum front yard setbacks with the 3 offset setbacks. 1 foot wide vehicular non-access easement shall be recorded along the east boundary, excluding the 20th Avenue right-of-way. This is so that the lot that's right on Goldfield would not be able to add another driveway. Each lot shall provide low water use landscaping in accordance with the city's landscaping and screening requirements. No buildings shall be constructed in the 33-foot utility easement to the south. All 3 lots shall be allowed to have horse uses as normally permitted for R143 lots, and all permits shall be applied for through the city. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Mike?
I have a question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
Your Honor. Got one question, is in the setback space that you're talking, you got one of them's got a 60-foot setback, and of course this one has also got the easement on the, it'd be on the east side. I stopped thinking where it was. And what is that 60-foot area? Is that can be used for something like, for example, you can put, what's considered the front yard, basically, is what I'm asking.
Well, the front yard would still be usable space. The maximum height would be 4.5 feet for any structure in the front yard. So you could have a small fenced-in area and use your front yard, but the house and main structure would have to be set back further.
Okay, so you could put something up there.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you know, do you know if the owner has any plans on 20th Avenue to put any type of decomposed granite down or any type of rock? Because of the PM10 standards that we have to follow for dust control with that federal mandate. You know, they could come off Goldfield and they wouldn't have to worry about it, but this is the way it should be. It's a great project, but now that we're brought into this particulate matter 10 and now 5, I just wonder if we might be able to get some type of a decomposed granite or something inexpensive that might help keep some of the dust down.
I know his intention was to just grade it. He has the equipment to do it himself. That's
Can we
something
ask the applicant when he comes up?
Yes, that is something you can ask him.
I can ask Shane, does the quarter-inch, which is probably the least expensive, I think, of any, the quarter-inch decomposed granite, is that effective for dust control or something?
Yes, like a quarter-inch minus, I think you're talking
Quarter-inch
about would be
minus,
some of the
yes.
cheapest. And
Very inexpensive.
Some of the ways the other city wrote the rule to qualify, you know, a rock or a granite as a dust palliative, it have to be laid down at a certain depth, you know, like 2 or 3 inches.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a qualifying thing that, you know, if you use it as a dust suppressant, that's something.
But they could use the very least expensive product decomposed, and that would be adequate for our.
Just as long as you stay away from the fine dirt, and you guys are
Okay.
familiar with the fine dirt that we
All right, we'll talk to him about it. Thank you.
Your Honor. Any more questions for Mike? Yes?
Well, actually, perhaps for Shane. Shane, I've not read in detail the state law on the PM10 issue.
Federal.
Do we know when that's going to come down?
It's
and
down.
what the implications might be for this project?
It is coming down. The state law is much like those control measures that I talked about here a few weeks ago. It's just pretty much preempting what we are attempting there. And it has language in it, just like those control measures says, the cities will look at an ordinance and consider an ordinance in those respective different areas. So
I recall some October dates, and I recall some March dates. I don't have them committed to memory. But if that goes into place, then might this easement be required to be paved?
I thought it was effective already. PM10.
No, it's not. No,
not this new state Senate bill that came about. A lot of the due dates to consider these ordinances are all of them in 2008, so it's structured a lot like we have structured our commitment to MAG with those control measures. There will be, you know, I haven't looked at the dates yet. I will have to go back and look at our control measures that we put in the resolution, see how they match up with the state bill, but it pretty much is exactly the same thing. And
Except for the leaf blower.
pardon?
Except for the leaf blower.
There's a couple more measures in there. For example, there's one measure that we didn't seek to actually implement any control measure that now the state's going to require us to actually take a look at. And then, of course, there's the additional leaf blower requirement as well.
So Shane, might they be required to pave this?
I would have to say yes. There is a provision in the state law there that it had to do with the number of units for the paving of, and I can't recall if it's, I want to say it's 4, but I'm not quite sure.
It's brand new. We haven't studied it yet, but we're just trying to give you a level of awareness that whatever we approve here may be impacted later on.
Mr. Stern?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Shane, didn't those control measures went into the future, and it's staged at 2008 through 2012, I think. Is that correct?
It would be the 5% plan goes through 2009. So most of our control measures we're looking to implement. We're starting some of the easiest ones starting this year, 2007, but the ones that we would consider ordinance consideration by the council, we had scheduled it through 2008 to minimize, impact to our staff with, looking at, doing research of any ordinances and drafting the ordinances.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm not sure those measures would apply to this property. I'd have to do some research on that, but this project did start well before.
Well before this.
Yes. And I think that for paving of, I think it was dirt lots. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yes.
That was
That's
out
a new one.
That was 2008, is that correct?
Yeah, it would be 2008 we'd look at and consider. So, we have about a year out before we'd implement any type of measure ordinance that might come back to.
Shane, are we not measuring to PM10 now? We don't have a station, we're not measuring it now, I guess? We're only waiting for this 05?
No, as far as I know, we do have an active PM.
Right, and we're supposed to be trying to follow to that standard, that guideline, are we not?
Yes, to the resolution that we put together, for example, in 2004, former council, you guys.
We already
passed the
have one
resolution.
going, is what I'm saying. It's just being cut in half. So.
Well, like the attorney said, this was started way before this was.
No, that's for the 05, but,
Your Honor.
Yes.
It seems to me that what I'm hearing is, will this road possibly be impacted later? Because some of the things that we looked at was looking at roads and saying that we would, in fact, do dust control measures on dirt roads. So I think that's what I'm hearing, is will this be, maybe not today, but maybe next year or the year after, and the city would have to do that then?
I guess my question for Mike, is this going to actually be like a private driveway, or is this actually going to be dedicated to the city? That would be the question.
It's in the.
It will be dedicated.
It will be dedicated.
So that will come under that PM10 then eventually. If not today, then next year or the following, yes.
under the PM10, but the decompose will not help on the PM10. I'm just trying to save now if possible and go as inexpensive as possible, because every lot split we've done, we've always asked for something on that road.
If this is being dedicated to the city, as I would, yes, go with at least a double chip seal. That's what we are, the minimum that we're doing for our dirt roads, as a minimum double chip seal. Because, decomposed granite over time gets crushed and eventually will.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Baker has a solution for this.
Wonderful.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we could add to condition number 3 that requires access for all 3 lots on Avenue 20 to add a statement that the applicant will comply with all PM10 requirements at the time he comes into the city to ask for a grading permit to grade the road. So we don't really know when he's going to come in and ask for that grading permit to provide access for the home sites.
That's fine with me. That's great. If he wants to do that.
Is that all?
Yep.
The applicant here? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got one other question. I was looking down in the recommendation motions, and they were talking about 6 trees and 14 shrubs per front yard. You got one that's got a 30-foot setback. I mean, that's kind of crowded, and why are we, I can understand if the owner wants to be able to do that himself, he can, but why are we insisting that he put in 6 trees?
That's what we would normally require as far as our landscaping and screening requirements go. I looked at that and how we would apply it to a subdivision. It's so many trees per front foot of your yard. So that's what it came out to for these lots because of the size.
This isn't considered a subdivision, though, is it?
No.
I mean, this is private property.
Yeah, it is. It's not a subdivision. But it's something that we've asked for on quite a few of the lot splits that we've done in the past.
Your Honor.
Councilman Barker?
That's okay, whatever. I see your point. Councilman Wilson, 6 trees and 14 shrubs in a 30-foot setback on that front yard of the far west property seems a bit crowded. Are we planting a forest there in a desert climate?
In a desert.
It's just item 7, I think needs to be scratched outside the,
Well,
item 7 needs to be scratched, in my opinion.
I would like to see some landscaping and screening
that's
requirements
up to-
remain, but I'd like to see them apportioned.
That's up to each individual, and I don't think they're gonna build these homes and not plant something, and I don't see where it's up to us to tell them.
Well, it's part of our landscaping and screening
Landscaping and
ordinance.
screening on
It's for
acre and
commercial.
quarter PDs.
Our 940 is for commercial lots, it's
Yeah,
not for
that's
somebody's home.
It's a 940 issue.
I mean, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I can understand that if he would want to put him up there, I can understand that, I can understand this, but to me, you know, we're also trying to, I'm gonna say, make sure the low-impact desert plants, and we insist trees, which are going to, especially in their establishing period of time, it's gonna require water.
Well, we do encourage them to use low water use trees like mesquite, Palo Verde. We have a list that we hand out to people of low water use desert type landscaping that we encourage them to use.
But again, while they're establishing, they're gonna be required additional water.
Yes, that is correct.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
what are we celebrating tomorrow? It's a day of freedom. We can't be telling people that they have to plant trees on their own private property. We're going too far. You know, we're crossing the line.
Well, I don't
here.
think we're going too far, but I think it's too far on this property with just a 30-foot frontage to crowd all those trees and shrubbery in. It's just my opinion there. I know we want screening and we want landscaping, but that just seems like an awful much for 30-foot to put all that in.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Maybe we could speak to the property owner
That's what
and
I'm
see
hoping
what
that-
he
yes.
has in mind for that area. I think that might give the council a lot better idea of what he's planning to do with this.
Okay, Mike. The applicant's here?
I'm Jim Rollins, 2040 South Goldfield Road. I have this property. When I bought that property, I wound up with 2 oversized lots instead of 2 1.25 acre lots. I wound up with the 2 oversized lots, which were too big for 2 places and not quite big enough for 3. So that's why I'm trying to rezone it, that I can get 3 lots out of it. I'd like to see 3 site-built houses there. And I'm going to get rid of my older mobile home, which is almost 30 years old, so it's got to go. And whatever I have to do to get it surveyed, I will do. I've already been over there on 20th Avenue. I have a pretty good-sized tractor. I've been over there on 20th Avenue and smoothed it off and removed all the greasewood and that sort of thing. It's a nice street. It'll make a nice street.
Yeah.
It just needs gravel or something. Where I live now, I took my tractor and I need a driveway.
What did you just say, sir?
Big part?
It just needs what?
Well, I planned to put some 1/4 inch.
Well, that's what I wanted to hear, if you'd agree to do that. Because we're under a particular matter that's a federal mandate that says we got to try to keep our dust control down on every single dirt road and trail in this entire community. So I think that's a very solid effort to put down some type of granite.
Yeah, I'll do that. I've got to do that. Like I said, I've got it cleaned and smoothed off. It looks nice. It just needs gravel on it. I only did my half, my 33 feet that I'm going to give to the city. I've already got that paperwork ready to turn in. So if you can rezone it for me, I think it'll wind up with 3 nice lots and 3 nice homes there within the next 2 years. I need that 24 months to get it all done, though.
Sure.
That's not a problem.
What about the question with that lot, with the 6 trees and 14 shrubs? Was that something you were looking to do,
I haven't even thought that far ahead about landscaping it.
Yeah.
I've got to get it surveyed and do other things. Whoever builds a home there, if it's me, I'll do all that, but probably the new owner, if it's someone else, would have to do that, probably,
Your Honor,
Yes, Councilman.
you're going to stay on the west lot, is that correct?
I haven't made up my mind to stay.
Oh, okay, that was, because that's the one that has the small setback in the front.
I really haven't decided yet. I'm just working for the rezoning and the resurveying right now.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I have a question kind of for Ari. Remember the lady that wanted to get water to her properties, and there was 3 of them that she did like this?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a problem here? Will they run the water straight off of the street, or because we've added that extra street,
Oh.
will they have a hard time getting water to it?
Where's the water main at? Is it off Goldfield?
Yes, please.
I've got 2 water meters now. I put in, several years ago, I put a water meter on that lot next to me, and they did all the preliminary pipes and all that valve and everything, so there's 2 meters. I'll have to add a 3rd water meter.
On the
then
east
all 3
lot?
lots will have water.
Okay, but you only have to add 1 meter to the east lot?
All 3 meters will be lined up along the north side, side.
Can you point to, on the screen there, to your right, where the water meters are now?
Let's see, right now, the water meters are over on there's one on Hilton, and there's one.
Oh, is that Hilton next to
There's
you?
one
Okay.
on Hilton, and
All right.
there's one over here, the new
And then
one.
you got one on Goldfield?
So there's not one for the middle lot?
No, but what I say is, I'm gonna have to put another meter over here.
Right.
Where this one is, and I'd like, that meter that's on Hilton, I'm gonna see if Arizona Water Company will move it over there too. I'd like to have all the meters lined up here, if they'll do it. I think they will.
Good luck.
Yeah.
That's not really our call, it's private water.
Mr. Stern,
company.
may I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Is this all necessary right now, just to get this, so he can split his lot and get the zoning?
Mr. Mayor, you do want to be specific as to zoning stipulations, yes. And so if you're going to change anything, now is the time to do it, because doing it later may be difficult. There may be some other issues that may come up.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I asked that question because recently we had a lady who split a section in Mesa. She split it the same way, and because of where water supply was, she could not get water to the back lots.
Yeah. You might want to go to Arizona Water as soon as possible, like Thursday, and present this to them and see what they have to tell you.
I'd hate to approve something to find out that Arizona, that you can't get water to it. That would.
Well, you can, but you hope they don't make you require a main or something. You know?
Right.
Well, that's, when they put that meter for my big lot over there, they put a new main and did all the pipe, and all the pipes up to that corner of that lot. So I think all they have to do really is just put a meter there for another lot.
I'd make sure.
Definitely.
Just make sure. Just for your own safety, I'd just make sure.
I was going to let you know that treasure chest, I got 50 tons of the quarter minus crushed granite for $7 a ton.
Okay.
I get it for $4.50.
Nice.
All right. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone out in the public who would like to speak on this item? John?
Just one thing. John Kentonowski, 835 Winslow. On that item number 7, with the planting of the trees and stuff, if I'm not mistaken, in his original plan, he wanted to have all his houses facing towards the gold fields, okay? Which on these lots, his houses are gonna face to the east. That's why these required setbacks were set, so they could set the houses, and every one of them have the view of the mountains, which now 20th Avenue is actually, according to the city, going to be his mailing address in the front of his house, so you're requiring to put 6 trees and all these shrubs actually on the side of his house, which the city considers the front, where the front's gonna be his side. And the reason why I know that is I got the same problem at my house. I have a Windsong address, but the front of my house faces the gold fields on San Marcos, which is considered the side of my house. So consider that when you're looking at that, because you're probably gonna be planting a lot of trees and shrubs on the side of the house. He ain't gonna have no windows on it.
Is there anyone else? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Your Honor.
So what I'm hearing from the council is that the landscaping requirements should probably not be there? Is that what I'm hearing?
Or reduced.
Reduced, I wouldn't say not be there. Maybe reduced on
that one
on that
lot.
one lot.
Rather than 6, maybe 3, rather than 7, maybe 14, maybe 7.
Do you want to actually reduce them, or you simply want to let him use his own judgment?
Yeah, that honestly myself.
Yes.
And Robin, he said that he would put, he agreed to put some gravel, so I was gonna just say that.
So that
you know,
he still needs to, it still needs to be part of it to comply with the PM10, just as an extra added thing for to assure the council that that would be taken care of. Even though he has said he's going to do it, it'd just be sitting there to hold him to it, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I have some language written out on that particular matter.
All right.
If you want to add it to number 6, if that's consensus, whoever makes the motion.
Can't we just add to the motion that the owner confirmed to the PM10 requirements at the time of grading 20th Avenue be added to condition number 3?
Well, I've got it written a little differently.
Hand it out.
Serve it.
Your Honor.
Joel likes it his way.
While they're doing that, I just wanted to say that we've been accused of trying to become a big HOA several times. And telling somebody they have to plant trees on their own private property sure would add to that.
Well, like I said, I would like to see some landscaping, but I guess it's my own personal opinion. I just think 6 trees in the front yard on 30 foot is a little much.
Just
on that
delete
one, so.
Just delete number 7.
Robin's got it.
I got it.
No more discussion. I'll call for a motion.
Your Honor.
Mrs. Barker?
I move that ordinance number 1299 be read by title only and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Mayor Instalaco?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor. Ordinance number 1299, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, amending the Apache Junction, Arizona zoning ordinance by amending the zoning district map, city of Apache Junction, Arizona, changing the zoning district classification in rezoning case PZ-8-07 from general rural GR to conventional single-family homes by plan development R1-43/PD, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1299 is read by the city clerk with the addition to number 6 of, quote, "The developer shall comply with all federal, state, and local rules relating to reduction of particulate matter on the 20th Avenue roadway easement," and the deletion of condition number 7 be approved and adopted.
Second.
Moved and second. Roll call.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Mayor Instalaco?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
It's going to be a very nice project.
Okay. Direction to staff on construction of alternate for the animal control building.
Honorable Mayor, council members, staff, thanks for having me back. I was up here last night and we discussed Some of the options with expansion of the animal control building last night, and I do have some remarks getting back to some of the questions I couldn't answer last night, and just a couple of those. Saw this last night with the floor plan. This is just taken out of the construction dock. It's a little bit more busy. That's why I didn't show it last night. But the question was, what are the dimensions? And this number I circled here, it's actually, the building is 30 foot wide, and the expansion is going to add additional 25 to the western portion of the existing office, which is this area over here. So those are the dimensions that I believe Councilman Sievers had asked. Also, the question had to do with the schedule. I did call the general contractor, so if it is the will of the council to give a direction and go with the expansion, I asked him how long at this moment, looking at their schedule, how much time would it take to mobilize the trades together to get to the construction of this, and they said within a month's time, so looking at probably August, depending on how quick award the green light is given, agreement is signed, to be able to start work. And it is in their contract, they define 60 days to complete the construction. So we're looking at middle of October, towards the end of October, with possible, occupying the new facility with the extension. And then third, the question about the stucco on the face or the skin of the surface area of the building. And right now, the current code, if you're referencing some of the current code that we have, it's 75% of the building. So I took the east wall, the whole northern face of the building, and then the western side of the building, and the number I came up to is in the neighborhood of 20,000, the stucco, those three sides of the building.
Would that be full, rather than just 75% and leave a gap of metal? Would that be a full?
Yeah, it would be the full on those three sides.
They look
I'm
so
just
much
counting
better.
the side, the back side is the empty space.
Right.
Then, if you wanted to go with just stucco on the portion of the front, we'd have to then put stucco around the back.
I kind of think it's our responsibility to do that, since we require violating that stuff.
Really think we could.
Shane, I think if we're requiring the public to do things like this, we ought to show that we're willing to do it too.
Shane, did you bring that drawing that I did today at all?
No, I didn't. Councilman Sievers, I met with you earlier today to look at some of the aspects, construction drawings, and Joe had some pointed questions for advice for me to ask with the contractor, and he did show. Feel free to discuss your.
Do you have a picture of the outside of the building at all?
Yep, I do.
Something I had done, looking at the center picture here, that is the front of the building, we have to cover at least 75% of the structure with secondary materials. I had done, you see in some buildings, covering about 3/4 of the front of the property. I don't know if you could draw a line kind of like I did on that drawing, creating the mountains all out of stucco.
I've seen that.
We could fill that in so that it is, most of the building is covered with a different material, just to save on some money, and even make it look more like the mountain. Basically, get more coverage for the same amount of money, and then paint like the lower area, which is the mountains, maybe 3 or 4 shades darker than the top area, just to add a little bit of aesthetic, view to it. It was just a thought. Thanks.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I kind of like it.
I do
That's
too.
a very nice idea. If it's a workable idea, is that a workable idea? I mean, I presume it is, but.
I'm not a contractor who's done this before, but, I think with the cutting and the finessing, there might be a little bit more finesse.
It's
maybe when it
styrofoam.
comes to that.
It's a matter of putting a piece of styrofoam in the indentation and then a second layer right over the top of it, cut whatever shape you want out of it and stucco it. But it does give it a really nice look. You know, then wrap that right around the edge of the two ends of the building and continue the look of the superstitions.
You see this on a lot of new homes when they put the cactus, a figure of a cactus or a road runner or something. I was saying in front of my house, I got one up there with a horse, you know, and it's, like you said, it's just a piece of styrofoam with stucco in.
Your Honor,
Yes.
would, in giving direction to staff, if we were to say 75%, which is what this is, and staff would know we're leaning towards this kind of thing, would that work? Is that a workable direction? Or we'd have to be very specific?
And that's the only problem. If we say 75%, those mountains might be above the windows and above the...
That's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I think, like I said, we'd probably have to wrap this design around onto the
Right.
backside, so it'll be continuous all the way around the building to ensure we get that 75%.
Well, I would say 75% of the three sides, because the back, nobody can see it. That would definitely be a waste of expense.
The ordinance is 75% of the building.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to look at the ordinance and see if it's exactly building or...
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I think it's each side, as I recall.
It's a complete building, 75% complete building. We're
I don't-
making an effort.
I don't
We're
think you
not
can
in
do-
light industrial.
I don't think you can, that's true, there's an
So
argument whether that even
I think
applies
we're
to
making a good
this.
faith effort.
Correct.
Well, could you just stucco, just do the back all one without doing the sculpturing? I mean, nobody sees
There's
it.
no reason
No, but once again, there's a question whether even that ordinance applies to this particular
Exactly.
property. So it's a matter of
Which is why we were,
So we might not have to even do 75%. If it looks good at 60%, then 60% might look great.
It's setting the example is what we
Yeah.
want to do.
Exactly.
So we
Whatever
would,
we do
we
is
would
gonna
go
be-
with this western flavor of stucco, whatever percentage it might be.
Just do the front and two sides.
Yeah.
we could
And
say
figure
that
it.
too.
This keeps us right in line with our heritage, with the mountains and everything else. I like it, you know.
Plus, it's going to help insulate the building.
Right.
Ooh, that'll help with the air conditioning. Sorry.
Is there anything else for
We're
Shane?
conserving.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have to ask Shane this too. When you talked to the contractor today, were they willing to consider some of these changes in the price?
Yes. I had talked to him previously, for example, with the architectural item line in there that I thought was excessive. There was definitely room for savings in there, and you had some good suggestions today that I was going to bounce those questions off them to see if there's some other possible savings, because, when I did the investigation, the price of the stucco, we're looking close to 20,000, so I'm going to have to get some savings
Right.
somewhere.
So I bet you we could bring the stucco down to about 10 grand by doing it this way. And then when I went through the blueprints today and some of these line items, we have $4,850 in here for a drinking fountain. Why?
Get you one from Lowe's, real cheap.
Well, they've got 2 drinking fountains there already, and they're the kind that you have the cup and you put the water in it. I don't think that we'd need to spend a dime on a drinking fountain. I just noticed a lot of things. Electrical, $47,000. I called up an electrician today, explained to him the scope of work, and he said he could do that for like 20 grand. So we've got some huge differences here. If he was willing to work on some of those things, then I think that we could get the price down and more than cover the price of the stucco.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's room, and I think I mentioned this last night too. This contract is a gross maximum price. That means we just would not exceed that price. A lot of the other the item lines will come under that, so more likely we're not going to spend that full amount. Plus, also, I do have a margin of contingency in there. There should not be any change order requests. I shouldn't need that contingency. So that's why I'm confident. I think we could fix this. Fit this stucco into this project.
Very good.
Any more questions for Shane? You have any more?
No,
sir. I'll call for a motion.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that the following direction be given to staff regarding the construction alternatives for the animal control building. That we move forward with the bid that we have with looking at some options on the stucco of the front and two sides of the building. And anything we can do to get these prices down to absorb as much work as we can for the same amount of money.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Mayor Insflaco?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Item 12.
Your Honor.
That's risky.
Mr. Mayor.
Kathy, did they include the dollar amount in the motion?
What they referenced
Option one.
was the
Remodel.
within the existing agreement, but then to negotiate.
And what will happen then is I'll be back July 17th with a recommendation for award on July 7th. Thank you.
Cool. I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. and a work session at 7 p.m. be held on Monday, July 16th, 2007, in the City Council Conference Room and City Council Chambers, respectively. And then an executive session at 6 p.m. be held on Tuesday, July 17th, 2007, at the City Council Conference Room.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call?
Councilmember Severs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eck?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Surtee?
Yes.
Councilmember Deeds?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker? I believe
She ran away.
the room. Mayor Insflaco?
Yes.
6 in favor, the motion carries, Your Honor.
We also have a budget meeting next Monday night.
Next Monday night at 5 o'clock, we start with the City Council, final budget, and then the Water District tentative budget.
Okay, 5 o'clock next Monday.
That's correct.
We're adjourned.
We're adjourned.
Take a vote.
Thank you.